if you can use what you do best,
right.
that's the talent that you've developed into skill, to do work you enjoy. This is the enjoyment of a task, or a function, to then create a result that aligns with your values. Now there's this real marriage here of all of those things. There's the proclivity to do something that you do well and go, oh, that feels good because I did it well. Right. And we've not taught that. And so therefore people don't even know what they're looking for.
That's right.
We're going to talk about calling here in a minute.
Yeah.
But this idea of, we have so much cultural pressure, Arthur, to get a good degree so we can get a good job. It turns out that's blah. Nobody wants a good degree and a good job. They want far more than that. Yeah. But there's no construct in America for what actual meaningful work looks like. Yeah. I think I found it based on coaching so many people when you get that alignment.
Yeah.
But what is at the heart of all of this unhappiness at work?
So I love your model. Your model is very similar to ikigai. Of course, the Japanese concept of ikigai. What you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for.
Right.
The intersection of those four things is the Japanese notion of ikigai. And asking those questions, because what you can get paid for, what you love might not be the same thing, and then this is optimizing across four dimensions, which we're able to do all the time. But you got to have all of those dimensions in front of you and be asking all of those questions at the same time. Now your parents will be like, "What can you get paid for?" Right? And in your heart, you're like, "What do I like?" And then somebody will come along and say, what you're good at, and you didn't know. That's what your teachers tell you is what you're good at. And then you'll see out there in the marketplace what other people are doing, and that's what the world will pay you for. So you're getting all these inputs from different constituencies, and you need to be thinking about all these things yourself.
Yes.
That's really, really important. And together, that's what your vocation and calling are. Now, calling, there's a whole literature on calling. Calling is this idea of what you're supposed to do. It's a kind of a cosmic sense of what you're supposed to do. Now, I actually believe it is a metaphysical concept because I'm a Christian, and I believe there's something I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that there's going to be a billboard out in the I-70. It's like, Arthur Brooks is supposed to, and because I've gotten my calling wrong in the past. Actually, I've done it wrong. I've had 4 completely different careers. Right. And they're, super different. I was in the Barcelona Symphony playing the French horn when I was in my 20s.
I was going to hit you with this, but I got to show this to our audience. We did a little prep.
Oh my goodness.
Because this is appropriate.
What do you got, man?
Look at that picture. Take me there. The French horn aficionado here.
It's like the cover of a Harlequin romance novel. I mean, look at that. That is a preternaturally beautiful head of hair, don't you think?
It's incredible. I mean, it's got a lot of vibes. I don't want to insult anybody, but now the question becomes this guy.
That guy.
Did he feel a calling to play the French horn professionally?
He did not.
I didn't think so.
That's what I was doing for a living. And I did it well.
How did that come about?
It came about because when I was 4, I started on the violin. When I was 5, I started on the piano. When I was 8, I started the French horn, and I was really good at it, so I quit the others. And my parents wanted to have a classical musician. My mother was a professional artist. My father was a math professor. And they were both very, very interested in classical music. And they noticed that I had a proclivity toward it, and they pushed me toward it, and I never questioned it. So I practiced 4 or 5 hours a day. I played in every ensemble I possibly could. I half-heartedly went to college at 18 and got kicked out, or dropped out, kicked out, splitting hairs. And by 19, I was pro, and that was what I was supposed to do. I was I'm super ambitious,
of course,
but ambition is different than calling,
right?
And it's a very common error that people make.
I also want to jump in here because how much of this was the emotion of pleasing your parents as well?
Early on it was, but later it was pleasing me because what I wanted to be was successful.
Of course.
And it was always deeply troubling to me that I didn't love music. I didn't love it. And there would be people, when I was in Barcelona in the orchestra, I was, sitting next to as I was playing, I was sitting next to the principal trombone player, in the orchestra. And this guy, man, in his free time, he was studying scores. And he was listening to the greatest recordings of whatever we were playing that week. And I wasn't doing that. I didn't want to do that. I thought, maybe. And he loved it. And he's still, by the way, he's still the principal trombone player now in the Puerto Rico Symphony. He's a huge talent, but he's in love with it. And I wasn't. And I'm like, what do I miss?
Was it just like?
I didn't even like it.
That's what
I was just good at it. I was just
so
really good at it.
you didn't actually enjoy the performance, the practice?
It was just stressful, and it was repetitive, and it wasn't interesting to me. And I love music now. I know I'm more of a musician than anything else. I know more about classical music than I know about anything else in life, including what I teach at Harvard, which is I'm a behavioral scientist. I'm innately in my bones, because when I could read music before I could read words. It's who I am as a person in a very real way. But being a professional classical musician I should have been a composer. I should have been a musicologist. I should have been a scholar of that stuff, as opposed to a performer.
I'm so glad you're saying this. Am I hearing that if we were to rewind life, because you're very fulfilled in the work you do now.
I'm in love.
Would you be fulfilled and in love with those three forms of working with music?
Maybe. It would be a lot more like what I do now.
And that's the part I want you to explain, because this is the magic.
Yeah.
It's back to that idea that talent is not enough.
Right.
That you will not.
Oh, no. I was very talented as a French horn player.
Very talented.
Yeah. But it wasn't
what
enough.
are the similarities between, you said a musicologist, a composer?
Yeah. Or a music theorist.
Okay, so what are those? Draw the parallels for the people who know what you do now.
So I am a behavioral scientist. Mm-hmm. What I teach a class at the Harvard Business School called Leadership and Happiness. It's 20% philosophy, 30% neuroscience, and 50% behavioral science. So it's a real science class, but it's the study of the human person holistically, where you get the biggest questions from wisdom literatures and philosophy. You study how the brain processes what we're talking about, because psychology is biology. And then you bring the evidence to bear in human behavior. It's super interesting, right? And you can get a deep understanding of the complexities of life. Not perfectly, because complexity can't be solved. There's a big mistake that people make, is that they want to solve problems in their life. All the problems they really care about are not complicated problems you can solve. They're complex problems that you can only live. That's why you can't solve your marriage. You can solve a math problem, but you can't solve your marriage. You can solve an engineering problem. You can't solve a behavioral problem, right? You can only live and experience a behavioral problem. So my science is brought to bear on the complex issues of life. Now, what is it in music? It's beauty. It's art, it's aesthetics, it's experience. And so it's very complex in the same way. And digging into that in an analytic way as much as you can, while bringing something that's fulfilling to the soul, that I can do in music, I can do it in poetry, I can do it, and I can absolutely do it as a social scientist. I'm doing the real art that I wanted to do all along.
Love that. Do you think it's a rare combo to be as analytical as you are, but also so in tune with emotion?
No, because faith and reason. For me, it's not emotion. It's faith. It's really what it comes down to. So people often wonder: are faith and reason inherently in conflict? And of course, Enlightenment thinkers often said yes. That reason was going to crowd out faith.
Correct.
That religion was going to go away as the mists of mythology could actually be cleared away when we really understand what's going on. But that's completely wrong. And the reason is because, well, I'll give an analogy. If you were an art historian and you specialized in, you just mentioned Picasso. Mm-hmm. I want you to be an expert on Picasso, you need to know two things. You need to deeply understand his paintings, and you need to deeply understand the man. You can't find any evidence of the man in the painting, but you need to understand both. The truth of the matter is that faith and reason are not in conflict, because you must have both, have a comprehensive understanding of what you're trying to do. If you believe there is a creation and you believe there is a creator, you don't look for one in the other, but one is evidence of the other, and the iron sharpens the iron. And that's really what it comes down to. Yeah. So my analytic approach to God's creation and to the wonders of human life and the experience with the suffering and the glories and joys of walking on the earth one day after another until the day of my death, which I will never completely apprehend because it's a complex experience that has to be lived. Bringing scientific skill to bear on that is just, I feel like Lewis and Clark, man. And I'm like, I think there's an ocean over there somewhere, but I don't know. I don't even know what's around the next bend of the river. I can't wait to get at it every day.